thank my son for helping out here with the camera, my daughter running administrator, taking care of you folks on that end. So we'll get right into this because this is quite a lesson today, and we all want to do this professionally when it's done here. So some pointers coming up here. These are for subcompact. This is, for example, the Glock that is a mold for that. Then we have a Springfield compact, and then we have a double stack Springfield XD40. And for example, then we have a big, let's see this baby. It's a 6-hour. It's a 40. It's a 9 here. Bigger. It's got a 5-inch barrel. And of course, then this is for a Smith & Wesson or Springfield Armor compact. But I've designed this holster here. It'll pretty much fit any subcompact and some a little thicker frame. And what I did in your kit that you received, I put in this piece of leather here. Okay, so when you get a real thick frame, sometimes where you have more of a square around the trigger, around the trigger where it's not rounded, it's more blunt and square versus say a Kimber handgun is like this. It's more smooth and rounded, so you don't have that issue where there's needs more clearance coming in and out of the holster for drawing. Okay, so when you're doing something more with a round guard around the trigger, you usually don't need the spacer or the welt, I call it, that goes in between, because it's not necessary. Okay, so here's an example. This is for a SIG 226. You can see this goes in, on the snug side, but there again, I do have a welt put in that as well because the frame is really thick. And every single handgun, as far as compact, this is purposely put up here, as you'll see. So when you're wearing it, these points at the top of the pistol isn't going to dig in the side of your hip, your waistline, and that's really important if you're wearing that thing 6-8 hours a day or even 12 hours a day, traveling in and out of a car and work. And really, it's right there. It's handy. You can draw it right out. And so when you get down to like the Springfield, this is a 45 compact, that drops right in there also. But really, this welt is necessary. It's not necessary because when you go to sew it, it'll draw it down tighter up and on the handgun. So anyways, next thing I have to go to a different holster so you can see after this, you see the location where the safety holster clip is. You have a blank that I set, you have a slit in it. The clip's going to go down into there, and that hole in the bottom is already set up to where your double face rivet's going to come through. And so you'll die this to match your holster. You'll slip the holster or the holster clip down in behind there and set the rivet. So then the holster clip isn't going anywhere. Okay, and this is the cool thing about it is why it's laying out flat, while your holster's laying out flat, and you're going to have to pretend this is already dyed. You then fold that over, of course, and then you decide yourself where you want this to go on the holster. The lighting, I'm trying to make sure you guys see it. Okay, so say if you want it to ride lower, you can move this up, and you're going to sew this through. You'll rivet the clip on first to this, so the metal is between the body of the holster and your piece of leather that the holster clip goes through. So then you would put that where you need it, so how it's going to ride when you're carrying the weapon. Okay, and then once you sew it to the body, okay, the rivet, this is already a hole in the safety holster clip. That's already riveted into place, so it's never going to go anywhere. So then that's when you cut your groove line with your groover. If you don't have a groover, just draw a line with wing dividers, and then sew it to the body of the holster. So the only thing that's going to be on the inside of the holster is your wax thread, which that's not going to harm the weapon. So and that's how that's done. Down the road, this could be a month down the road. We're going to take, see who's interested in the class, who isn't. But now we're going to get to, say, a compact where, you're wearing a short jacket during the summer and you don't want to carry this big, heavy jacket. These are subcompact, okay? This is like a P230, German Sig Sauer here. But see, there again, this is designed so it doesn't harm you when you're wearing it. The back of that is going to bend right over. You'll have that soft leather up against your body. It's not going to dig in. And that's the whole goal. You want it to be comfortable the whole time you're wearing this. Okay, so you get to see this. I might hold it up. You can see, I have that clip all the way to the bottom. You can see the bottom of the holster here. That stitching is just above the welt on that, and then there's the rivet. So during the summer, when you're wearing a shorter jacket or a jersey over top, it's gonna ride out further like this on your side, and you can wear a shorter jacket so it covers that up. And there again, this is already all protected, like this. That's not going to dig in your side. It's going to be comfortable. And that's the whole purpose and reasoning of it being designed like this. So anyways, I think that covers everything. But like I said, there's probably 30, 40, pistols this is going to fit, from a double stack to a single, from a 9 to a 40, 45. So it's a pretty cool pattern. So I guess from that note, we will get started on our tooling. So.
Okay, everybody see me all right here? Does everybody see me all right, Garth?
Yep.
Okay. There again, we're gonna take here and we're gonna use warm water, not hot water, as your voice down here now. Dampen this down. If you have a T-square, that's going to be your best bet. Okay, so we're going to be practicing here with the camera, so just try to let me know how it's going. If you see this crease right here where the holster is going to fold, okay, the bottom of the holster here is square, of course. So you'll be butting the T-square from the bottom up to this point here. So let's do that first. Okay, so right there, we have that done at that point where that's right there. So what you're going to do is do just a slight little dot approximately where your groove line is going to be when you stitch this together, which is about a 1/4 inch in, and you'll put a dot there. Okay, and then so you'll see where the dot is right here. Yeah, can everybody see it's right there, the little dot? I know Amanda, I made pictures for her. Garth has some too, so you can look at it as far as that way too.
Yeah, I don't know if Garth is able to maybe hold up the pictures just because it's wet, so it's a little
Right
hard
there.
to see.
Is that better?
Yep.
Okay. So now what you're going to do, this is what, this is what we call the breaking point here. This is the center of the fold, which is your breaking point. Everybody has a different name, I guess, but 50 years, I'm just sharing my knowledge. So what you're going to do from this dot here, you're going to go towards the back of the holster, approximately 5/8 of an inch. So you'll take your ruler and come over 5/8 of an inch. So now we have a 5/8 of an inch distance from here to here. So what you're going to do, you'll be taking your T-square and your line is going to come up directly from here. And you'll stop right in this location here, right about here, because you're going to be drawing a line. You'll be drawing, let me use the spoon here. We'll be drawing a line around here to close the top off with our tool. Okay. So that's why you don't bring the dot clear up into here, because then you've went too far. So I'll draw a line here with the T-square. Okay, so there's where we're there. Is that good? Everybody sees that all right? Okay, so now you grab the holster, both the one I tooled and the finished holster, please. Okay, so there again, this is just details. There's where I'm at here. This will be the design that we're doing. So usually from this point coming on around right about to here, okay, you stop. This is a 1/2 inch from the edge coming in all the way up to here. And the reason you have it wider at this point is because the bigger weapon, this thicker frame, your welt is going to go right in that cavity from like here down right about to this area here, to open up for the thicker frame on your weapon. So at that point, you reset your wing divider right about here. You're going to bring it in. That's like 3/8 of an inch. So you're reducing that. So this is only like 3/8. And then you're going to draw all the way up over into here, right up into there. And then you'll join your line that you just drew that I had shown you. So we'll do that next. As we learn this, we'll get better and better showing these. So right about here. So, as I showed you that little piece, that welt, that's going to go approximately right here up to here. So it allows for the frame of the weapon. So then you're going to go readjust your wing divider to 3/8 now. And don't worry about, there's a little difference when you take off here, you'll blend it in. So we're going to start right about here. I'm going to stop right there so you get to see that part. So you can see right there where that's starting, there's this little gap right here. Not to worry about that. So then you're going to bring that around. And the tricky part is coming up. And I even might have goofed this one. So we'll see what happens. Right there, it's really tough. And then you're going to hold your wing divider in position and let the leather move for you. Don't move your hand. Right there. So now what you'll do is finish connecting at that location, which you'll, at that point, grab your 12-inch ruler there and finish bringing the line up where it needs to be. Okay, so now you can barely see it, but now we've reached the top of the line here where we joined. Okay, so what you can do now is, and just by eye, this is all by eye, so no one's perfect. So what I'm going to do now is carefully, just like that. Okay, so of course you're going to have that little bit there, and that's nothing to worry about, because either the border tool you're going to run around this is going to resolve this issue, or when you go to stitch it and you come around, you're going to resolve, and that will then be gone at that point. So as you can see, we're at, I think everybody can see that now. So what we'll do next is we're going to draw the angle, which, this is your choice, whatever angle you want to put on your holster. I tend to try to go to basically the furthest point. I'm going to locate right about where that curve is, right up there. So I'm going to go right here at this point, and I'm going to come right down across and put the line. That will be the starting line where my basket weaving will be going. I think I'll purposely make that a little darker so you folks can see that. How's that? Everybody see that okay? Okay, so now what I'm going to do, it's still on the damp side a little bit, so I'm not going to wet it real heavy, more lightly, a little heavier in there where it's setting up on me. And there again, I have a fan that's running, keeping me cool, so this will tend to want to set up, but continue to wet the whole thing, not just the area you're tooling. The reason being is when you wet this more than you do here, anytime this has been smoothed out, when they've tanned it and put finishes on it to make it all look nice, that is throughout the whole thing. So you always want to wet the entire piece every single time, because if this is wiped more times than over here, you might have a little bit of resistance of keeping it even over on this side. And this is just simply years and years of doing it. So let me wet it here. Okay, so you can kind of see it's damp and it's going to want to set up quick. I have a fan running, but I'll be tooling this side coming up first. Okay, and this is going to be your toughest part of the holster right here, doing this first line, because that is what controls you the rest of the holster, how straight you keep that first line. And I picked this combo, of course, is this particular, it might be not up yet, PX 003, PX 003. It's a tool that Springfield Leather carries, it's Star. And if you notice, there's texture down in around the star. So that's part of the point of this lesson we're going through today. So we'll get started here and start tooling. So there again, I'm going to hold this about midway, not up in here, not way down here where you need a strong strike, or up here where I'm tapping. I'm going to hold it like midway when I do this. So what we'll do is, and there again, it's really easy to mess up if you don't pay attention. So I'm going to probably go pretty slow on this setup. And you'll turn it around. and make sure you turn the star so it's facing the same direction. I'm going to see how close I can get here. And like I might have showed you this before. When you set this down right here on the line, I mean, you can barely see the faintness of that line. And I want you to see what's going to happen here. This is going to go. And you can see that tool went right in to the little, I'm going to say little arm of the previous basket weave. See, it fell right in line. So it's kind of important. I mean, it's a little more time to do it, but once you get that set up, that thing's ready to go, ready to rock and roll. So you get this set up and you're going to continue to flip it now. There again, you know, you got to really watch yourself here. And we're going to set it there. Turn it around. Make sure you flip your stamp. Your basket weave tool, however you want to say that. And that's a little dry there, but I'm going to keep going because, you know, I just move my hand position on my mallet. And that way I'm not stopping a lot. And we're getting there. So turn that around. And around. We're getting there pretty nice. Probably one more, it looks like, and then maybe we might just. Who does? Okay. How much overlap? If you're lucky, maybe a 16th. Let me see one, because we're a human. If you look, I'm going to try to get this up really close. 1, 2, 3. The 4th and 5th basket weave, you can probably see it right there. Can you see that, John?
Yeah. So are you overlapping or are you just lining them up so they're at the end of each other? Those little arms.
Pretty much right at the end of each other, but you want to, I mean, like I say, that is barely touching, maybe a 32nd. And because you want them still to look connected all the way down, you know. And the other thing you keep in mind too is pay attention here, because you want this to look the same distance all the way down. This has got to be consistent from here to here, here to here. So when you start the next row, you better have those straight and square, because then you're going to be out of position. So I'm going to do this side here first, come all that way first. That way I never have to switch the basket weave. The star always is that in position for me. So did I answer your question there?
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So there again, I know I'm going to be going for a while. So this time I'm going to wet it a little on the heavier side. If you notice, I just shadowed that a little bit because I know I'm coming in right away with this next row, maybe the second. It's heavier here. It's kind of like when I was teaching everybody when you do a belt, you know, heavier the further down you go. So you just can continue to tool and tool and save yourself some time. So we'll check, make sure I got the tool in the right position. I don't know if you're looking at my class site. I did a rifle sling here earlier in the week. Okay, so that was sweet. It came out right to where my groove line, not my mark, is on the end. So that's sweet. That really came out nice. And you can see how it's starting to lighten up because I got, real heavy out here, gradually came in and got a little lighter each time. So we're going to stay on the roll here. Of course, I didn't hit as deep on that end. So that's the reason I set it back in there, rocked it a little bit. So I knew I was in the same mark of, the groove cut of the basket weave. So we're going to come down here and we're going to catch that and make that look nice and line up with the rope below. Take your time, line it up, watch where this is. Right about, lift that up a little bit. That's down in there. Right about there. Okay, so we're gonna keep this baby going. If you notice, I lifted up a tiny bit because I knew I was getting close to that edge. So I let this side drop in a little more, held a little more grip, put more pressure to this side. So I went almost, it was right on the money there. So you got to really watch it when you get out to that end. And there you notice I kept the tool in the leather so you can pull it and move it and save yourself time. You have to stop and line up all again, da da da. Just thinking here. All right, you can see what's going to happen here. I'm coming into an area where it's probably going to reach here, all right, but it's going to be running over a little bit. So really pay attention how you hold it, how you grip the tool, because this is important. If you go over a little bit, you're not going to have to worry because of the tool coming around the edge. See, it's tipped a little bit. Maybe tap it. I'm going to tip it back a tiny bit. Okay, keep going. we'll go over the edges in a little bit here because you'll be holding the tool kind of like a beveler is what you'll be doing here when we get a few steps here more. We're coming right up here, really nice. Okay, so here's the issue. It's going to be out here. This is pretty good up here. Okay, especially at this point, we might have to in this area really, kind of like you would when you use a beveler. You're going to have to tip it, take your time, line everything up, and so we're going to work on this area right here. Make sure you got it in the right position. All right, so unfortunately, it just, as far as how the camera lines up, but I'm gonna line it up the best I can, like this, tip it back and just. And you can see what I did right there. Laid it in, lined it up the best of your ability, tip it back like you're gonna bevel. And there again, you're stopping at your line. And there again, sometimes you might go past some before, but that's not crucial because your next tool coming in is going to resolve any of that issue. But just do it to the best of your ability. Really tipping here. Okay, same thing here. No, there's really not much. Maybe up in here, we might want to do this one right here, because when you're coming with this tool, it's going to come right in here and resolve our issue here. So what I'm going to have to do is tip back and pull in, tip back and pull in. So we try not to go over this area right up in here. So there again, I think that's going to be cool. Won't go any further than that because the tool coming around here, we're going to resolve that issue right away. So we keep going. I'll probably just keep tooling here, right time to the corner. And there again, as I was saying, we're going to come right down in here, wet this a little heavier and wet the whole thing back over here. Just like that. And there again, just a reminder, the four fingers down the back side, the little pinky is flush with the bottom of your stamp, your tool. You're able to feel the depth it's going in. So you keep the depth consistent. And there again, if there's not darkness in the tooling, the stamping, when you go to do your staining, mostly antiquing, that has to be dark in there or your antique is going to swipe right out of there every single time. So keep that in mind. Very crucial. I mean, you can do a gorgeous piece of tooling, carving, stamping, But you're dyeing, antiquing, and that's the other half of it. So that's kind of why when I started out, I really wanted to help people with dyeing, because I know that's a big struggle. But I want to broaden out and try to help in other areas as well. And I'm sure people are watching and, oh boy, he makes it look so easy. Well, let's see, 50 years, that kind of says something. And there again, I'm setting it in there, chipping it back a little bit like a beveler. So I'm not hitting real hard in the cavity where it's bending and folding. Chipping it back. There you go. You can see there. Modeling tool. Here we go. So you can see I tipped it back as I dropped it in and lightened it up here by holding it like a beveler. So it wasn't real deep where this secondary tool is going to come around. I just got to fill in a little bit here and down in here, and we'll be ready to go with the next tool. There again, line it up best of your ability, tip it back. This one, it looks like I'm going pretty much all the way down. Sweet. All right, this one probably a third. And just baby tap this one, I can see. And I'm going to get this one right here, probably half of it. And there we are. Okay. So any questions at that point? All right. So we're going to get right onto this next one. Okay, so what we're going to do next is this is the PA005 from Springfield Leather, kind of flat bottom, textured on top. I used it last week on a belt. This is a cool idea I come up with. I visualized this simply because of what we have. You can't probably see it now, it's real wet. I'll show you this one right here. There's like real textured pebbling down and around that star. So that's kind of the reason I went with that, because I figured, man, that looks sweet. And so that's what I'm going to do. We're going to run that around. We didn't cut it. In fact, our son here brought this. Does that look sweet, you guys? Okay, so you're not going to cut that line anyway. You're going to use the flat edge here and use it just as if you was using a beveler without cutting the leather with your swivel knife. Start right in the corner. I'm going to get this one put right in position for me. And there again, tip it way back. So I got it started there in the corner. And it's pretty big. So there again, it's just, hand and eye coordination. Just take your time. I'm coming into a turn. So tip it back, come on around, tip it back. And there again, I'm going to come back and even that out for me. So it looks the same. There again, tip it like a beveler, and being you don't have a cut, you don't have an issue of you want to tap it a little extra, hard. Not like I probably would. You put it through. Anyways,
Dad?
Yeah.
Someone asked, or Joy said, are you staying on the inside of the line?
basically just like I did the basket weave, I'm setting it just enough you can barely see the line. You hit the tool, it drops and takes the line right off is what I'm doing. And there again, as the turn goes, I'm using about 25% of this width. And now when this is an open straightaway here, I'm now going to use half of this all the way down until I get into the turn. Then I'm just going to be using the corner, squeaking myself around the turn. There again, as you can see, I believe how I'm holding that, really tipping that back. If we watch ahead here, we're coming into where we had that marked with the wing dividers. So really pay attention. We're coming into that area. Do your best to blend it in as you come around the turn. And then take in mind, you're going to be dealing with, your groove line, your stitching, all of that. Get that corner right there, like that. Okay, so we're ready to go right down the straightaway. We're using half of it again, tipping it. And there again, now I'm holding way down to the end of the handle. So I'm just tapping with this. I'm not using a whole lot of my arm, just a good punch. And there again, take in mind, you have all these malls out there. They're 16 ounce, 20 ounce. And can you imagine doing this? This is 8 ounces, this mallet. So there's not a lot of wear and tear on your wrist. See, now that right there, I'm going to use the back side on that one. I'm going to come in here and hook it, bring it down and tap it to keep that nice and round. Hook it in there, bring it down and hit it in. And you can see what happened there. Took the turn sweep. Okay, so now we're going to come right up here. Just make sure you take the line with you, like that. There again, don't get the leather real wet here. You're in the folding area. Just tap it, a couple extra times, more than just trying to hit it one strong time, because you're in the area where the leather's folding, bending. Okay, so we got a little bit there. I'm gonna go back. That's a little bit, not much. It looks like that little bit of the arm of the basket, we might show a tiny bit. But there again, it's hand done. We got most of it, looks like. Yeah, it looks pretty sweet. So we're done with that tool. Now we're gonna grab this one's hard to get, but you can use any cam tool, C830, you know, something like this here. I'm using something a little bigger, but here's the thing here. So you get to see the beauty of this work here. You're not going to put the bottom of the cam tool up into that line. You're going to keep it up about 1/8 of an inch. So we'll start right up on here, right into this turn. And we'll stay, like I say, about 1/8 inch. Hold it at an angle. Okay, and then we're going to continue on around. There again, I'll show you after a couple more here. You're going to eliminate the extra. I'm just going to say, call it pebble. You're going to take away that extra pebble that comes in onto your basket. You eliminate that with this technique. And what's cool about it is you show the beauty of the pebbling behind the curve of your cam tool, or camouflage tool, we call it. So, and that, I mean, I'm sure this is going to look really sweet. I posted my rifle sling on our page, and you got to see how that finished. I was really excited, and gentleman's seen it, and so I get to make one now. So, which is just fine with me. When you do it for a living, that's nice. And there again, the antiquing or dye, whatever you're going to do, will go right down into the tips, or we'll say the toes of the cam tool, and less as it comes out to the top of the crown, I'm saying, which is fine, because then at that point, you're antiquing after this point, it comes out, lightens, then your antiquing is going to drop into all these cuts up in here. That's if you're antiquing. If you're going to dye, then that's a different situation, using, whatever, tan, blue, black, whatever it may be. Something that I see quite a bit there on the different, it's all bowed and bent when it's dried. Why does it do that? What am I going to do to resolve the issue? And there again, it's just a matter of someone sharing their knowledge to help. Okay, so that baby is all done. It's ready to dry, and it's going to get stained or dyed or antique next, or combo. So what you do, if I just let that stay like that, it's going to dry. It's going to kind of horseshoe on me. So no, you don't do that. what you'll do is this is piece of granite, so it's rounded on the edge. And what you'll do is you'll pull it over the edge. I'm going to do it on the edge of my nylon here that protects the edges of the tool. Grab a little bit. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see this, but I'm going to hold my hand up here. Grab this, hold your hand up here and pull it down. You see what happened? You're going to grab it here, and then you're going to grab it here, and then here. So you've now put a curve all the way around and flexed it just like that. So when that thing dries, it's going to be nice and flat for you. And you can see how flat that lays. Just okay. So we've got the tooling all done. Before we take our break, because you folks will probably be doing the dyeing over the next hour or antiquing. Then we can get into the other things. But what I can show you next, because we have time for that, is you'll get your groover. It's right over here. Hang on a second. Hopefully I don't knock the camera over here. Okay, there again, always check it first. I'm going to bring that in a little further. Let's see. There's something about, these tools from China, of course. So I always grab this and loosen it that way. Because if you just do it hand tight, sometimes it doesn't stay. It will not stay. So I'm going to give it probably 1/4 inch because this is a 1/2 inch. So there again, 1/2 inch here. We're going to come in 1/4 inch. And that's where the stitching is going to be. Anybody that's hand stitching this. So there again, we're going to draw this around and move the leather. Hang on the tool, move the leather. Okay, so I'm at that point. I always like to go through it twice. Get a little more depth. It's kind of like when you tool. Okay, so now you have that put in place where you'll be doing your punching with your diamond hole chisel, So just for grins, I will readjust this and come up into here. Okay, so as I'm coming into this sharp turn, I'm going to make sure I tuck this underneath that on top where I'm going to scratch this. Sorry about the thing with the dine. I totally forgot. So much going on. Guess that's gonna, there it goes. So there we got the groove line to that point. So now, of course, it's got to dry. It's going to dry here a little bit. So during the time, this 10-minute break, we'll get that set up to go. And I think what we'll do, so we get to see more beauty. We're gonna come in with like cordovan, dye, do the edge up to here, and then I think we'll go right in with antiquing, so we have a nice earth tone brown. So
John asked, how wide is the grouper? Like what, how wide did you set the grouper?
this here was set a 1/4 inch. When I went up here, this was set an 1/8 inch, because I try to keep it half the distance from the tooling and the edge of the holster itself. And then this here, of course, is because your welt's going to be in there if you have a very thick frame, you know, like a double stack pistol. So, okay. Any other questions? Is that everybody? Any questions left?
Did you want to take a break real quick to get the camera positioned over at the table?
Okay. See you in 10.
So we're just going to take a quick little intermission for about 10 minutes. So we'll get back together, let's say at 4 or 5:15. It's 4:15 my time. See y'all then. Garth or Dad, I think you both should be able to hear me. Garth, can you give me a thumbs up if you can hear me? Okay, thanks. If Dad could just give a rundown of what supplies they should collect real quick to begin dyeing, and then maybe if we can give them like 5 more minutes to grab those and get ready.
Hey, Amanda, can you mute my phone?
Yep, just 1 minute. Oh, it's already muted.
All right.
Okay, so I really want to get into detail because I want you to get, everything you're supposed to, not use the wrong thing to get our results we're going to do today. First of all, has everybody seen the folder that Amanda, administrator, has given everyone to look at and see what's needed and all that? Is everybody aware of that to help out right from the get-go?
Are you referring to the one that I did right like in the very beginning? Because I did send out an email, which obviously everybody on here's read the email because they're in the meeting. And it has a list of the supplies.
Yes.
Yeah, so if you just want to tell them what they should have right now out and have ready to go ahead and start doing the dyeing.
Why don't you show that out now?
Okay, what about that last tool from Springfield, the Stardust?
They're talking about if you're going to be down.
Okay. See, this stuff is as well. Yeah. See that there.
Go ahead and show them the video, and then we'll give them 5 minutes together, what they need for doing
Okay.
the next part.
Okay, here's what we have. Everybody see this?
You can go ahead and show us the front camera. Open.
Okay, so this is what we'll be using today. These means quarter bend leather alcohol-based dye. Alcohol-based dye. Beans. Okay, the next thing we'll be using is Angela's light brown antique. Angela's light brown antique. And there again, keep in mind anything from Angela's, the owner from Angela's Shoe Polish Company, they have a program for you folks with being in my class. So you got to make sure there's a code you're going to type in. And I think Amanda already has that in there. But that's going to be our second step. And this is going to be the first step. Okay. And when learning, you can start out with the wool dauber, or you can even actually, use a t-shirt. And there again, if you have a Lowe's in your area, that's what I use. It's like 13 bucks. There's 4 pounds. That'll last you, depending how often you use it, that lasts you probably a year. That lasts me 2 or 3 months. So, and there again, the reason it's very smooth, it glides across the surface of the leather. It doesn't pull your finish out. I had a few people with some questions that I'm going to teach you tonight, so you can not run into that issue the other gentleman accidentally did. So what we'll do here, and then what we'll do later, okay, because we'll be using this here, B-Beans Carnauba Cream. B-Beans Carnauba Cream. That will be after the fact that the light brown antique from Angela's has dried, because we'll be cleaning only the surface. And if you recall, that was the purpose of keeping darkness down into your tune. So this will be a little later because we have to wait for the antiquing to dry in the tooling of the holster. So I'm going to get my gloves on here.
You could just give them a minute or two to grab their things, if that's okay.
Okay.
So you're unmuted here. So you know.
also good for you if we're done in 15 minutes.
You want to tell them that? Like, probably will be. We're pretty close to it. Let's say 20 minutes and then we'll have a break along the break.
Just depends what they put on it, you know. Guys, it's first time.
No. We're learning that it's gonna take, so you what, an hour and a half?
You, Carolina. They can go from there and some of it or some. Okay, so what we're gonna do next here, if you recall, this is gonna be the piece of leather here that's gonna attach to the back of the holster, which the holster clip will go in behind it. So what we want to do first of all, before we go to dye this is, I mean, you're only doing this by hand, so, and someday I might get a clicker press for this, but you're just going to carefully just barely nick the corner, use the, just, you know, just walk it real slow, turn it, you got a little nip there, you know, it's on the back, it's not like they're going to see it. Bring the jaw up a long ways so you can make a sharper turn. I think you can see this all right. Say more rounded that way. And on the last corner. There we go. That's fairly decent there. It's on the back. It's not like they're going to see it. You know, anyways, little burr right there. I'm going to nip that. Okay, so there again, being that we're going to stitch that just like we did, we're going to put a groove line around here, just like we did on the holster. So when we go to do our stitching, it's going to be snug down. It's going to be laying flush or below the grain of the leather, the upper part, so it doesn't snag and catch on things. So now you'll take your groover, and I set this for 3/16 of an inch. I think that's a little better for you folks. I say we're still learning here. So now you're going to take it, and there again, I'm going to start before the turn, before the corner. I'm going to start right about, whoa, there we go. I start right about there, right before the turn. And remember, you're grooving on dry leather here now too. So have to work a little more with it. And there again on the corner, have the leather turn, hold your tool in place, hold it in place. And try to get some depth there. Okay, so now we have the groove line put around that. So first of all, we're going to start out with the Fiebing's Cordovan leather die. Shake it up.
Make
And
sure
what-
the cap's tight.
What's that? Yeah, make sure the cap's tight, as my son says. Okay, so anyways, load your dauber, kind of spin it so it doesn't drip all over, and you're going to die the edge just like that. And there again, everybody does it different. This is just because I have it. And the reason I do this is because I'm going to be applying an antique. Okay. And that way you've kind of filled the pores of the leather up with some dye. And let's do the edge of the holster as well. Okay, so we're getting in the corner there. So you see I bent that right backwards so I can come in and touch it like that and die down in that crevice. Okay, so we're going to go down this edge. I think we got that pretty good. Looks pretty good to me. Okay, so when you have an area like this, sometimes I prefer, let me grab this. Being we have this pebbling done in here with our first tool, this pebbling, and then you have that cam tool there. What we want to do is try to stay out of that cavity there, we'll call that. So sometimes a dauber, Q-tip, it would take a long time. A dauber, you can kind of, get a possibility of it oozing down in there. We want to do our best not to have that happen. So you can do that if you want. And the big issue, if you get your dauber too dry, well, that's more time you have to swipe back and forth, and a better chance of you slipping. And you don't want it too heavy because then it can gush out and flow in to it. So that is just a matter of practice, how much to put on your applicator, your dauber, etc. So as far as the back here, this piece here, this one, I'm just going to go ahead and dye it with the dauber. And as you can see already, it's light to the center. Just go around your edge and then go in a circular motion, and it really soaks in. It really does. And put it a little on the heavy side because it has alcohol. It's going to evaporate. It's going to dry a little bit lighter. So I believe we got that dyed pretty much. You can see very little shadow right in there. But that thing's ready to set and dry. We're ready to work on the main body of the holster. Let's see. We had 2 of these at a time. There we go. Okay, so there again, you'll take the t-shirt and fold it so the edge is round there, right up there. And what we're going to do is we're going to start out at the fold. We're going to start out. I'm going to start this way for us. We're going to start dyeing right here. And we're going to use a rag, okay? And that way we're going to bend this right on the edge of the table for us. So the edge of the rag, you can see it will follow the edge of the tooling there, okay? And that way we can dye a big area here, and then we'll move into the next step. Okay, you're going to put, I'm trying to get this, folks. You're going to put the rag to the lid like this. Okay, then you're going to turn it and you're going to give it some air like this. And you're going to see it, see there? And I shut it back down, lift it up. It loads the rag one more time. Okay, so I got moisture there. The dye is there on the rag, ready to go. So here's where the issue is, because we're working on getting a different camera. We're going to lay this right on the edge here, on the edge of the table. And I'm going to come in right here and dye the edge. Okay, so we've got that dyed right in there, nice on the edge, up to where the tooling is. So right where that drops off, that's the deepest part, and that's where our antique's going to go for us. And so you don't have to worry about any of that. And that was the goal of dauber, that could drop down in there and, you know, go right up into your work. And that's the last thing you want to happen. So now the next thing is I'm going to go ahead and dye this entire area here with the rag. That way, when you're doing that big of an area with the dauber, you have a, you know, you have a big chance of causing streaks and stuff like that. Okay, so let's start right off here. So here you can see I got a light spot right to the center, right there, sitting out right there. So I'm going to get that blended right in. And that narrow spot, I'm going to tip my rag right up on the nose of that and fill that in right there like that, you know, to resolve the issue I had there. But there again, I said, all the alcohol that's in this is going to evaporate. It's going to lighten up. So I'm going to go ahead and put another nice coat on there. And if you notice, the rag is nice and flat. I'm going to get up here close again, because I can see it's lightening a little bit for us here. And there again, it almost, of course, it almost looks black, of course, but it's not. It's froze. It's almost looks black, but of course it's because of all the alcohol, it's still dark. And that's the purpose or reason it looks like it does. So, because when it dries back, it'll lighten up for us. So now we're going to work around the edges here. And there again, you want, if you're going to go into this area right here, you make sure that this portion here is off the edge of the table. This here is going to hang off the edge. So the rag only comes in to this distance. You come around the turn, same thing, just that corner will go over the edge of the table here. So. Okay, so now we're going to go right up into the corner. Seemed a little bit on the dry side, so I'm going to give it just a little bit of dye there. Go right to the corner carefully, a little short back and forth movements with your hand. I'm going to come into that corner because the alcohol evaporated and it's a little. Okay, so you can see there. Whoa. There we go. I'm sorry. Got around the turn. So now we're going to continue across the bottom. Okay, hopefully I can do this right here. Okay, so I've now went across. Gotta back up a bit. There we go.
It's opposite from what you think.
It's opposite, huh?
You show.
There we go. So now I went all the way across the bottom. Okay, so now we're gonna come up into the turn here and we'll be coming around this area here. Same thing on this right here. We're gonna bend that over the edge of the table. That's the sharp point of the turn. And once you go back and forth, you're actually putting a crease into the rag. You can see there. And so when you set the rag back down, the edge of that holster drops right into that crease of the rag. And that's what kind of keeps you in control. As long as you keep that piece of leather on the edge into the groove, it will stay in that position for you. Let's see, Q-tip, let me use Q-tip. See this lightening a little bit over here. So that was the first area. We're going to go back and touch that up a little bit, give it a little more. All right, through the turn. When we get right into that corner, right where that sharp point is, we're then gonna come right in with the Q-tip and do that little bit right there with the Q-tip. Right on the table here. Pour a little bit of your dye in the cap here. Sometimes if it really looks fuzzy in that, a Q-tip, one way it's spun one direction, the other side is spun the opposite direction, because you can get a lot of fuzzy stuff, which can, make an issue with your dye, going not where you want it to be. So I'm going to spin it there and get that tightened down. So put a little on the Q-tip. Always turn the Q-tip as you're going from the cap to your project, so the dye is flowing. If you hold it steady and come across, it's a greater chance of the dye dripping down on your belt while whatever you're going to be dyeing. Okay, so there again, we're going to come right in. I'm going to tip it up like this. Okay, so we're now finished up with our Fabian's cordovan dye here. Dye, around all edges there, and then the back. So this whole area here is open, and we're going to be using the Angelus light brown antique into this area. Okay. So what happens, and I've seen this last week, the week before, is sometimes it doesn't pay to be chintzy, and it might not be chintzy. It's a learning experience. I seen a gentleman, he antiqued 2 different pieces of his leather to make a project. Okay. And what I'd have to say is he put antique on both pieces. And so he got the one piece wiped off really easy, nice and clean. And then the other piece was already setting up. It was dry. So when he took its rag to wipe the second piece, the rag was gripping, it was dragging. And so he kept wiping. And what happened is it had more time to set in and dry because it set longer. And then the rag couldn't swipe and go across it. And so when he was done, his first piece looked beautiful. The second one had spots and little rub, streaks to it. And the reason why, if he would have done one piece first, wiped the excess off, then went to the other one, put it on, rub it in and wipe it off, there would never been an issue. So I hope everybody understands that. And the other thing is, don't try to be chintzy and just enough it gets in, because then the airflow will make it set up quick, and you don't want that to happen. And we're also going to take, and I've done this in the videos before, you're actually going to take the clean rag, you're going to put a puddle of antique, put a puddle of antique there, and we're going to put it down there and pre-wet this with the antique, because then it can swipe and get it right off. But if this is dry and you come in, you're going to grab the leather. So we're going to pull it down nice and tight, and so it lays flat, and you can see it's kind of crimpled up here and that. So you're going to want to, and like that, and you got a nice smooth flat surface. So we're going to get right into using, we'll be using there again, this right here. And you shake it up. Okay. And then what we're going to do is I'll put a little puddle here like that. And then I'm going to put it on here like this. And you can see there's quite a bit there. Because you want it to go on there, you can see there's plenty there to rub in. And it's down into our beautiful tooling and work that we've done. Yeah, I just go ahead and smear it over that too. Might as well. And then grab your rag. Looks like it needs a little bit more. There we go. We've made it smooth and slick. All right, here, and here's where we're gonna go. I mean, it's just a matter of seconds, and it's been antiqued. So, we're at the point where it has to dry. And then when we come back, we'll be cleaning all the excess that's laying on the surface of the leather. And then we're going to be ready to go from there. We'll just buff it out and it'll be time to start assembling. But how does everybody like that? Does that look nice?
Does anybody have any questions?
Anybody have any questions?
You didn't use any resist on that, did you?
Did you use any resist on that?
Just 1 second.
Just a minute. Got to turn the volume up over here. Okay.
Did you use any resist on that?
No, that was open force, the leather just from the tooling bench to here. Nothing was put on there. No, in other words, you can use an acrylic finisher by Angelus, which, you can't hardly read this because it's mine, but you would use that if you want it to resist, keep the areas natural. But this here, I just wanted to keep, all nicer tone brown. And the effect is so we can get that down in that pebbling really nice with the antique, because when that dries, that's going to look sweet. It looks sweet when we're done. So, and there again, if you notice, the important thing is here, every crack and crevice of that basket weave, there's antique setting down in it. So, and that's the importance of having the depth to the tooling, so there's darkness in the tooling, because that way when you apply that antique, which we just did, the antique will stay down into every crevice of that tool. And that's what you want. And then the surface will have to dry a little lighter, and when we clean it, that thing is going to pop really sweet for us, really sweet. And there again, like I showed you, that rag has to be nice, flat, and smooth, so it glides across it, so it doesn't pick up nothing down into your beautiful work you've done. So any other questions?
If there are no more questions, we can go ahead and do our, dinner break. Are you looking at the camera? There you go, Dan.
You want to switch it to his so it's nice and big?
Yeah, hold on 1 second, John. There you go. Front and center.
Yeah, there we go. Sweet. Looks nice. Looks very nice. Yep. Got some nice depth there.
Never had one look so good, Doug.
What's that?
Never had one look so good. Thanks for the tips, man.
Awesome. That looks sweet. It really does. Really does. So we'll take a break, and then we'll get into cleaning this and then buffing it and try to get some assembly, and there again, don't forget, you're right, cut off.
Nope, you're still good.
Okay. It's don't forget, just for grins, I usually put just a little bit so you have the same effect. The Cordovan on that holster had a little bit of this, so I'm gonna just a little bit on there, rub it in, because that way everything's the same how it's going to look when it's done. And yeah, true, this is on the back, but I'm perfectionist sometimes, so I'll just wipe the excess off that, and there again, that's going to dry for us, and just kind of bend that and flex it so is, you know, pliable and flexible, and that has to dry too. So I guess that's about it for now, and then we'll take a break, let that dry, and we'll be ready to go to
Okay.
assemble.
Yeah, we'll come back at 7 Eastern Standard Time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, 7 Eastern Standard Time. We'll resume. So I'll just pause this, and we'll all just shut our cameras off on our end, and y'all can do what you want.
1 hour break, is that what you're saying?
Yes. Yep.
That should work.
Uh,
That should set up fine. Get your rags ready, your smooth, your, you know, shop towels, your sheepskin, and your carnauba ready. And that'll save a little more time even for us. You'll be ready to go.
What about the chisels?
Yeah, but we'll do that after we do the cleaning. After the cleaning. Because you don't want all that antique in there where you're going to be punching your holes. So you got to get everything cleaned and buffed out, and then we can go into using the chisels.
Okay, sounds good.
All righty.
Question. Joy asked, did you do anything on the inside of the holster?
Absolutely not. No. I'm learning.
Oh, sorry, that's me, not you. There we go.
All right. So no, there's nothing to the inside. All that, you know, all this is going to be optional because you can use padding and then lambskin, or you can just use lambskin, or you can use a cowhide lining. This here, we're just going to seal the inside with the Angelus edge coating. You know, so anything that will ever touch the weapon is the smooth wax thread, but you're going to take a tool and rub that wax thread down so it's nice and flat, but there's really nothing there that's going to harm the weapon, because prior, and you know, I'm just showing you a little ahead of time here. Remember, this here is going to slide down into here for us, the safety holster clip. And so that holster clip will be riveted right to the piece of leather. That holster clip will not be going anywhere. So the rivet is here now. It's not inside the holster, it's secured here. So there's never no metal. And then that will then be glued and attached to the back of the holster. So all you'll have is your wax thread that holds this piece of leather on. So there's no metal whatsoever that touches that weapon.
Doug, what chisels are you using, and what lacing needle are you using? What type
Okay,
of style are
I'm-
you-
go ahead.
so I can go get them.
Okay, I'm using 1/8 inch diamond hole chisel, 4 prongs, what I'm using. And that's what we'll go around with and do that with.
Okay.
4 prong diamond hole chisel, 1/8 inch. So,
Do you have one you can show me?
oh, did you hear me, John?
Were you asking him to show you? It kind of cut out a little bit.
Do you have one you can show me?
You have one that you can show.
Yes, let me grab that.
And then I can go. I have something similar. That's all. I could probably find something.
Okay, no teasing here. This is like 20 years old. That's all, you know. So anyways, we'll see my best here.
Maybe hold your hand to the back of it to help it focus. There you go.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, 1/8 inch, 4 prong diamond hole chisel. And then you're going to want to grab the single one. Yeah, there you go. And because that way we're going to come into a short turn on occasion, and you're just going to eyeball it. When you go into a sharp turn, you'll need the single. diamond hole chisel as well. So that's what we'll be using for chisels.
What about lacing needle? What are you gonna use for that?
I won't be lacing this here. I'll just be stitching it.
Oh,
In other words, it'd be stitched like this here.
Or sewing machine.
Yeah, on a sewing machine, or you can hand stitch it. Either way. And another question, I just, quiz ahead of time. It's not a quiz, but through the years, I was taught it's called a slide lock knot. Have you ever heard of a slide lock knot? Anybody? Okay. So when it comes time to stitching, I'll be showing you how to do that. And it's simply to create the wax thread to stay on your needle and to lay very flat, which makes it easy for doing your hand stitching. So, okay, I think that covers everything for
And
now.
just to clarify, you are going to show them how to stitch it by hand, correct?
Betcha, you
Okay.
betcha.
Came off a
Yep.
little confusing, so I just wanted to make sure.
So what size needle are you using?
Yeah, what-
Let me grab the needle here.
So I'm pretty sure that's what you were asking, right, John?
yeah.
Okay, I'm using an 18 gauge, 2 3/8 inch needle, 517.0,
Okay.
and by CS Osborne. I mean, you can use one a little bigger if you want. It's up to you. Okay, we good on that?
I think so. I typed it into the
All right.
comment area. Okay, so back at 7.
Yep.
All right. Enjoy y'all's dinner.
Yep. Okay, so as we can see here, I mean, you have the
Camera, right there.
oh, camera's over here. All right. Anyways, it's all dry now for us. And you can see I've traced the outline where the safety clip is going to go. Okay. So we'll get into cleaning the surface here in a second. I just thought of this. And of course, it's dry. It's kind of dished up and curved from how it dried. So what we're going to do next is we're going to take the edge coating, just like I taught on the back of belts. You're going to edge coat the whole interior of this with your Angelus dark brown edge. So we'll be doing the entire back of it. Of course, this kind of seals the pores, helps it preserve it longer. The reason you put this on first because once this is dried, it helps keep the edge. When it dries, it makes it firm. And how should I say this? It makes the inner edge a little more rigid because, you know, it's like I say, years and years of doing this. This is simply my own techniques I taught myself. And I'm just going step by step how I would do it. That way you can, you know, understand maybe a different way that can help you appearance wise or make it easier for the looks of it when it's done. And it sets up fairly quick. As you can see, the front side of it is, this side is already pretty much dry for me. So little wetness there to that area. And what that does, let me see here. What that kind of does for us, okay, is it makes this outer edge more firm and rough, okay? And you're gonna think, well, why in the heck is he doing that? That's craziness. Well, I'll show you why in a minute. Because you're cutting the flesh side and not, you're cutting the flesh side, not the grain side. And when you use the beveler and when you're gonna do the back edge of this, you're only going to be doing, it's better to show you from this side. You're only going to be doing from this point up across the top and down where that area where the crease is, okay? And what you're going to do when you let that dry, it makes that firm and kind of on the sharp side. Well, what happens when you use your beveler, your number one beveler, it cuts a real clean, sweet edge because the leather is not kind of spongy in that, and then it works against you, not for you with your beveler. So by keeping this rigid and more sharp, you get a much cleaner cut with your beveler when you cut down the back side, the flesh side, not the grain side, the flesh side here. So, and the reason you don't do this area here, okay, is when you go to fold it shut to line it up so it's flush all the way down to the tip of the barrel, it looks nice and square. So I might be getting a step ahead here, but I need to share what I'm thinking here. And the reason being, once you stitch it, okay, now both sides are in position, they're not going to move. And then you're going to, at that time, bevel the upper side, the grain side, and you flip it over and you're going to bevel the grain side on the other side. So now you've beveled both sides, you have a beautiful rounded edge, and then you can, you know, either rub this with your bone folder, and, you know, you want to rub the edge with some Carnauba cream, but that's down the road. But I just wanted to point that out to you. The reason you don't bevel here first is because you have a nice square edge to line up with the other side, as you'll see there when that goes together. So that's the reason for it. So anyways, we're at the point where we're going to clean it now with your Carnauba cream. And I'll show that again, just so people can see it. There's what we're about to apply to the smooth piece of t-shirt. So when you're doing with the t-shirt, that's truly, you know, pretty much for the tooling area only, and burnishing, say, the edge of the leather before you rub it down fast with like a bone folder or something of that nature. So work it through there, and eventually we'll get just out in the beginning, and hey, step at a time, like anything. So now you got Carnauba on your rag, and you find a moist spot, pull that down nice and flat, so it's nice and smooth. And then you're going to lay it gently over top of your tooling area. Here we go. Just gently rub it like that. And you can see what's coming off with your Carnauba rag. So then move it to another clean spot and continue. Boy, that's turning out sweet. Really happy with the results. Just kind of clean up any edge I have there. But there's our results. You see that little bit of pebble from where our camp tool is there. And then we'll go down and there's the barrel and there. So when you fold it, as I was saying earlier, when you fold that, that's all the people see. Okay. Just enough that when you get your tooling, there's the front of it, when they're carrying it, that's all you need to tool. That's the only area. There's no reason to do that. You're wasting your time, you're wasting your antiquing, so that's what it's all about. But yeah, that really turned out sweet. All right, so now that's done as far as the tooled area. Okay, so now we're going to grab, if you recall, the veg tan sheepskin, and reminding you the hair is more firm, more stiff, so it does a better job of scrubbing and cleaning the excess dye, which is what we're going to do now. We're going to get the back of this with our Carnauba cream on the sheepskin here. So put a little bit goes a long ways. That'll give you an idea. Okay, so you're just gently gonna put it down here, rub it really lightly, get it over the whole area of the plane, and now you're just gonna scrub it. Okay, so now the tooled area and the back has been Carnauba. Okay, right now, while it's moist with your Carnauba, you're going to take it over the edge of your bench, your die bench, and you're going to take it just like this. And you're going to do it here. And then you'll do it here. Okay, so when it's done, it's laying nice and flat again. Okay, so you can see dullness there. And that's the thin layer of wax that you're seeing. So let that dry just for a minute here. And that's when you look for your piece of sheepskin that's been chrome tanned, where it's more soft, it's more gentle, and it's not so firm where it's going to pull. And that's especially when you're dealing with the tooled area. So the fan was running, they would probably set it up much quicker, but that tends to give us a little issue with noise. So it's pretty much ready now. I'm going to take the sheepskin here and just gently buff it. Basically airflow. Looks like there's a little spot there. I don't know why. Okay. Just creating airflow basically, and you're just building the luster of the thin coat of wax that you put on with your Carnauba. And you can see the shine in that just from the Carnauba cream. And then the back, see that? Yeah. Okay, so now we're at that point where it's all been cleaned in that. I think at this point, we could, let's go to the tooling bench where we're gonna do some beveling on the back side only. And we'll get this, of course, around this area here as well while we're doing it. So let's move over there.
Doug, do we need to put carnauba on the back piece?
Oh, yeah, I forgot this piece here.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. You caught me. I'm in. Yeah, I'm in trouble.
Who's teaching who now?
Yeah, who's teaching who now? My son says. Yep, she wants that soften back up. There's no sense edge coating the back of that. It's never going to be seen, and it helps it stay there when you glue it to the back of the holster. And there again, you know, off yet. So then you just gotta wait a second, of course, but I fell behind and and you know, there's the shine. You can see that. Yeah, that carnauba is some sweet stuff. Okay, so we'll work on going over here to the bench and start our assembly.
If you guys can give us just a couple minutes, we're gonna move the camera over there.
All righty. Guess that didn't take too long. So let's do our next step as we were talking. Let's trim that burr off of this right here, going up here. And there again, I'm using a number 1 beveler here.
Yeah.
Okay. And then at the same time, I mean, when you look at this,
The average much?
okay, so basically from this point, this side, you can go ahead and bevel the grain side over here. Okay, because once it goes together, you're not going to be able to do that as well. So you can figure your hand stitching ends here when you assemble it closed. So you're wise to go ahead and get this beveled out here as well. Yeah, that number one is just enough. It takes the sharp edge off it. And that's really all you need. I'll probably touch this up later though with a little bit of edge coat, you know, that little bit right there we're looking at. So, and then there again, we might also do this part here. Let's see, right about to here, of course. Which, yes, I did that already. I didn't realize that. Sorry about that. Okay, so both sides are done on that. So of course, this will be for appearance here. Normally, you know, 99% of my work is done on a machine. So I still wanted to show you here, you know, doing this, and then we'll travel down into this when we sew it shut. And myself, I would never sew this shut because of the thickness of your frame of your weapon that's going to come down into here. So what we'll probably be doing is starting back here, traveling up and around to that point. But what we'll do next is we're gonna bevel this edge on the belt keeper that holds the holster clip. Okay, so we have that all done. Okay, so what we'll be doing is stitching this, of course, to the back of it prior to closing it shut. So what we'll do is you have to decide, okay, let's say, I'm just going to say this is a summer month holster. So we want to try to, without affecting our stitching and closing shut, you want to stay up just enough. You're not going to create an issue with your stitching here. So anyways, I'm looking at this, the clearance, it might be, you know, we definitely got to move it up a little bit because of the clearance for stitching. When we punch the chisel through here, we're going to have clearance. So we'll move it up to about there. And being this is a square line, you can kind of follow by that so it's nice and straight, but then you'll lay it down and you can take a modeling tool or a pencil and just kind of go around it where it needs to be put in position. You might be able to see it where that is. Okay. So now what we're going to do here is we'll take our chisels, and there again, this is diamond hole chisel. It's like I say 20, 25 years old. So you're going to start like at a corner. Right here like that. Ice hook one so everyone's consistent. Keep it right in the groove line. And as you can see, it's, you know, nice clean holes there. The reason you want to use a diamond hole chisel, and of course, some people know it, some people don't, but I just want to share it simply because of, you know, knowledge. You have all kinds of chisels, inline chisels, and this is diamond hole, and the hole is cut at an angle. It's not cut straight in line. So a straight chisel cutting directly in front, when a person draws the thread down and draws down really tight, it can actually tear into the next hole. Where when you have a diamond hole chisel, the hole is cut at an angle. So that allows the person assembling, you can draw it down much tighter, and the pressure is going out here and not in line with your next hole. You know, like this, it's actually pulling some pressure out this way. So that's the reason when you hand stitch to use the diamond hole chisel. This one looks like I'm going to go one more. Okay, so I'm really down in that corner tight, and let's see if I'm going to be able to start off with a 4 again. I think so. Sometimes you'll get in that corner and it's just not allowable to come in and use it as far as distance. So sometimes you have to come in and eye it to look the same distance and use a single prong diamond hole chisel, so it all looks the same. So it looks like we'll get, let's see. Yeah, one more, it looks like right there. So we just got to come across the top there. Let's see. Looks like we can use that right there. No, that's too close. So we'll come up over here, this one. And we'll do one more. Okay, so we got the holes put all the way around. Okay, whoops, sorry about that. So we have the holes put all the way around on that. Kind of just bend it, and so it lays a little flatter. And so now what you can do is, let me see if I got my rivet setter. It's right here. Okay. So now what you'll do is we're gonna slip this right in there like that. Okay. Now you'll carefully grab a hold of it like this, lift the tongue of it and slide it down in where it needs to be. And just make sure your hole aligns like that. Okay, so we got a block of steel here, and we'll get it's a small oxidized rivet. And, come up through the back side. Then we'll flip it over. It's just the right distance. And we'll set it on there like that. And then come in with your rivet setter. Sorry about that. Come with your rivet setter and give it a good hit. Just like that. So now the clip is all held in position. It's not going to go anywhere. And if you want, sometimes I'll take it and use the flat end. Sometimes it looks nice that way too. That there. So anyways, that thing is in position. It's not going anywhere. And what you can do now is before it goes down, and here's the reason why I do this. You have when you punch the hole from the front side, you're putting a bevel in there. Okay. That needle is going to go right through there. Sweet. But when it has to come back from the other direction, see the opening on that? It's not real cool. And it's simply a matter of, a couple minutes or a minute. You're going to grab your modeling tool, put your finger on both sides, turn it, and you can see what it did. You don't have to put it real hard. Just put it in there and turn it. It's a little extra time, but when you go to assemble this, you'll greatly appreciate the time it takes to assemble it. Because there again, I was self-taught, and I always stitch with one needle, probably that I see online. Probably 90% of the people, they're showed and taught to do it with a stitching pony, lacing pony, whatever you want to call it. It just, everybody has their way, but say, I was self-taught. I had to learn everything on my own. But what I learned is when you use a lacing pony, okay, or for stitching, you have two pieces of thread going at the same time. You're operating two needles. You stand a little more time of catching and causing issues of being tangled up, good or bad. It's, that's just how that is with, that type of setup, and there again, a lot of people, it's a craft, it's a hobby, it's relaxing, but as fifth grade, is when I started doing it. Seventh grade, I was on the road in the summer. I was selling my belts, my wallets, the little wristbands, of course, the key fobs, It was part-time living at that point. And I just continued to do it, So I had to work and do it the easiest and the best way possible to save time. Time is money when you're doing it for a living. And of course, that gives you an idea how old I am. That wants to be a stinker, so I'll come up from that direction. Okay, we're just about there. Shove it in, twist it once. One more time here. Okay, so now we've opened the holes up, so it kind of looks the same from both sides. Okay, so there again, we got that location figured out where that's going. Okay, so what we'll do now is make sure we're correct there, and we're now going to take some cement and we're going to glue that right there. So this will probably take a minute to set, and I'll be using some barge cement is what I'll be using. So let me grab that. Okay, so you can put it on your holster there. That's a bit much, so I'll grab it with the applicator so I can pick it up, spread it out a little quicker than just a Q-tip. And there again, if you go over a little bit, I mean, don't worry about it. It's gonna rub off. Okay, so then of course you have to put it on the other piece as well. Yeah, it gets gooey. It's a mess. And the fumes aren't the best. And of course, being I do production and stuff like that, I don't use this stuff. I use stuff that's it's a real thin rubber back. It's like a 32nd thick. Some of it I use as a 16th, but it's done to one, save time, but most of all to save your lungs and your health. I say that I used to make guitar straps by the hundreds, by the thousands for, companies. And I was pouring gallons at a time. So life's about experiences. So I try to use this very little. So we're going to let that set up. I'm going to turn my fan on here. That'd help it set up a little quicker for us. So while that's drying, I think John, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Have you ever heard of a slide lock knot?
No.
Okay. Some people might have called it differently. I had to learn it on my own. I thought, man, this is got to be something that's different that's going to hold this silly thing on, So what you're going to do is take the end of your wax thread and you're going to take your thumbnail and get it to flatten out for you a little bit. Then take your needle. Make sure I got the right size needle here. Okay.
Hey, Dad, you might want to wait a minute. I don't know if everybody's caught up with you. Maybe just, is everybody caught up to where he's at? I don't know if you guys want a second to catch up or anything.
We put the barge cement on the back of this where it's setting up. And we've got it setting up on the back of the holster. And while that's drying, I'm teaching how to thread a needle with a slide lock knot.
Yeah, I
So
think
that's
that
where
some
I'm,
people want to actually follow along with you. So if you could give them maybe just a couple more minutes to get that glue set on the back. That way they can follow along.
not a problem.
Okay. I think it's a little hard, like when you're so fluent in it, you don't realize how fast you could be moving for people who don't do it every day.
Yeah, and that's the thing, when you're doing it, you don't realize it, like you say. So class might run over a little bit, which is fine.
Yeah. Okay, is everyone caught up to that step or do we still need a couple more minutes?
Don't get in a hurry.
Don't get in a hurry. That glue's set up nice, otherwise it wants to shift around.
Doug?
Yeah.
I don't have any rubber cement. Can I use Leathercraft cement, do you think?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
All right.
You might want to put the garage door back down for the opening the garage door. What? For opening the garage door. He needs a sled. What? He needs a sled. Okay.
Is everybody all caught up then?
Okay, so the glue's all set up now. So to the best of your ability, of course, and there's some shine there. Just, you can barely see this line here. And if you tip it right, you can see mine, but I think everybody traced this. So do the best of your ability. And what I would do is try to follow this edge here first because it's nice, clean and straight. And carefully set your, let me move my thread so I don't goof up. Okay, so now we're just gonna set it on there nice and easy. Make sure your top and bottom line up, like right there and there. It's amazing, all these little steps that you learn and do, and every one counts. Absolutely, every one counts. And I'm not sure, I know in our list that my daughter made for us. There's a 6 and 8 inch one of these that we got. So now we're at that point. This is going to be really handy for us. And so we got this stuck down pretty darn good. It's probably not going to go anywhere, but we want to make sure that, as Grandpa would say, that rascal ain't going to go anywhere. So what we'll do, I'll try to get it up here close. You're going to take that, get right up there tight, and just make that lay down nice and flat. And you can see what that just did. So, and then do the same thing down both edge. Try to, now here your metal clip is right in here. So don't lay it so flat, kind of tip it up to the nose because there's metal underneath there. Where this, there was none. So that's kind of important. Kind of tip it up, tip it up, not so flat, because you'll do a better job that way. And be careful. Don't rush it. Basically, it's right where your stitch line is what I'm seeing, you guys. Right about where your stitching is. And same across the bottom. And those corners just kind of over the a little bit like that. And then we're going to go down the other side here. And you can kind of see just vague, where it kind of dips down and the thickness of the metal, the clip there, right there. Okay. So then just continue down. Okay. So I believe I got mine in place. I'm just going to double check my other side just to be safe. Okay, so now we're all in place, or it's not going to go anywhere. Don't worry about this glue right now. That's something you're just going to take. I'll just show you quick. And it's gone like that. Okay, so is everybody ready to that point?
Thank you, very nice session. I have to go, but I want to let you know that you are appreciated.
Who's that?
Someone commented that.
Oh.
I'm ready to go, and Jordan's ready to go.
Okay, so everything wants to line up. I mean, right on the money. So, there again, take the time, take your single prong now, because the reason the single prong, there again, when you use 4-prong, you try to go down in there. It really pinches, it binds. It's going to give you a hassle. It's just you'll get done much sooner taking the single prong and just get both fingers on the side. You can pull up just like that. and check yourself. You can stay there and just continue around. You know, it's a matter of, I mean, you're learning, of course. It's probably going to take us what, maybe 5 minutes guessing, maybe 6. And let me tell you, when I show you the next step and we go to stitch this, you're going to appreciate every second of what I'm showing you right now. Everybody coming along okay? How's Joy going? I happen to be looking over right now, and boy, that the tool side is looking sweet. Kind of excited about it. It's really looking nice. Now you get to start seeing the rewarding of it. Well, I definitely hit that one. I had to check myself to see I already went through that side. Oh, Lordy. It's fun. I'm glad everybody that signed up, that showed up. I really appreciate it. Just try to help what I can and share my talents and help as much as I can, you know. So I'm just getting to the around to the bottom of the third side. How's everybody with that?
She is ready for the next class.
For the next class, huh?
Yes, she loves it.
So, yeah, I just gotta, you see there, I just gotta come across the bottom. And there again, it's these little things that pulling conchos with my wax thread. That's funny. I don't know how that happened, but so Joy, how did everybody like the leather? How it tooled? Wasn't that nice? And John? Okay, so now there again, just like we did before, get your modeling tool and go at it. Just, you know, clear that hole out, open it up. And there again, everything is, when you go to start stitching this, you'll appreciate every Every one of these you open up. And every one gets easier. Yeah, those holster clips are really nice too. It's got that little tab on the bottom, so once you clip it over the belt, that thing, that belt isn't coming off there. And that's what you want. It's not going to slip off your belt. I'm almost 3/4 around. As you put it in there, just turn your modeling tool, it kind of slicks that inner hole up, which is going to make that wax thread just fly through there for us. Okay, I just finished opening up mine. How's everybody else? Everybody's covered. How's everybody doing? Everybody caught up or maybe not? It's a lot of pushing and turning on the modeling tool.
Hey, Dad, did you mention about the other classes you were thinking about doing?
No, I haven't. I've not done that. No.
Okay, sorry. I had Zoe in charge of the computer and I was out trying to level out the sand. So I was making sure you didn't already cover this. we've been talking about doing more of these paid classes and sending out kits. I know a belt one is kind of what we've discussed. If you guys have other ideas of things and kits we could send out, I think that would be really helpful for feedback on that. It's good to know you guys enjoyed this class though tonight.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Some of the feedback is wallets, a bag.
See, a bag, I would probably be using a sewing machine. That's the thing about that, which, you know, if that's work with or not. And we, you know, have to do, you know, something kind of simple like a rectangle type bag.
I think that could be cool though. That would give a starting point for sure, I think, in just learning how to assemble one.
Yeah,
Wallets would probably be pretty easy too, as far as sending kits out for that.
yeah. But learning how to, you know, use a needle and double loop lace and stuff like that.
Yeah, John mentioned just getting the Tandy kits for the wallets. Sorry, Ryan's on his game. One sec.
Yeah. If they got the kits and that, yeah.
Okay, sorry. Your dog is here barking. I'm gonna ship her back to you, Dad.
That's all right. Grandpa misses her. Yeah, we need to figure out the thing is about different classes. We'd have to decide, you know, everybody kind of agree on it. Would it be a 2-weekend course? You know, how many days? You know, and the other thing we were talking about, my daughter and son, you know, coming up is warmer days. People want to be outside and yard work, you know, so we'll be talking about that too. But as far as time factor for schedules, I mean, does someone have like 2 hours or 3 hours at a time? And is it something like the travel bag? You know, that's cool. But like, do we need 2 weekend sessions, you know? Because, you know, so that'd be like a total of 6 hours,
Yeah, that's
something like that, or
exactly what
4.
we mentioned, like maybe doing, it would take a couple classes to obviously do something like a bag.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And then there's certain steps, if they're simple, it's something that maybe they could do that by themselves and coming into a certain area where it takes more knowledge and advancement for me to teach that for them, you know? Just depends on if they're going to use, you know, we'd be using chrome leather is what we'd be using.
You might want to repeat that again. I think it cut out. What kind of leather you would be
Yeah.
using?
Yeah, when we make a bag, stuff like that, we'd probably use chrome tan leather, something in a 4 to 5 ounce, something that you would make like a pair of chaps from. That way it's a little more simple. It's easier to hang on to and handle with and build and make something, especially when you're learning, you
Yeah,
know,
if you
using
give me a
lighter weight.
second, I can grab my purse and kind of show them. I don't know if that.
Yeah,
Yeah, give me 1 second. I'll go grab it. You can keep talking. I'm just going to be MIA for a minute.
okay. So, yeah, so we've done like belt holster. You know, I know I'm sure wristband, you know, it's really, you know, I don't know the age group to all the people that are watching, but, you know, down the road, you can switch back to a holster and use a different technique, which is, I don't know if it's too advanced, but it's really, really, it's good to learn, you know, to wrap an edge. I've had 2 or 3 people that, you know, really thought that was cool, but that could be really advanced. Can you grab the gator embossed or even the shark skin one? any of those up there where I've taken the bison leather. Yeah. Mhm. I mean, and I guess it really doesn't have to be a holster either. The goal is to learn the technique, I guess. You know what I'm saying, folks? You know, say it's, you know, even just a small case, you know, because it's something that it takes time to do, but it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful when it's done. And can people see this here? This is lambskin that's put around that edge, all the way up and around. And it just puts a beautiful edge on it. So, you know, it doesn't have to be a holster. It could be a rectangle coin purse, you know, whatever we kind of come up with that would be simple and easy, you know, to do. But that would be the technique to kind of teach everybody, because it looks so much more finished and so more professional. And there again, I was self-taught that, but it really adds the value of it too when you're selling it. It's something that's different, out of the ordinary. Did everybody get a look at that?
Yeah, that was a really good, I can see it really well.
All right.
Here, so here's the purse. I think that the centerpiece, wasn't there a centerpiece in it? I think the movers must have put it not with the purse when they moved our stuff.
I'm not sure because I can't see it, of course.
I know. Oh, it's like hard, it's kind of big. Well, there. I can see it. I guess maybe I can change it. But this, I don't know if this is one that you could do something similar to this or not. I don't know if that's possible. Dad?
Embossed gator is what I use there, embossed gator.
Right, I guess I'm just thinking like the style of this.
Awesome.
Is that something you could teach in a couple weekends? If that's something they'd be interested in.
Yeah, you know, we'd have to list ahead of time, say a month in advance, so everybody has their stuff like rotary rulers and, you know, all those types of things. So everybody's ready to go, maybe 4 to 6 weeks out. So everybody, you know, because maybe someone can't afford a rotary knife until next month, you know. Anybody that's getting paid once a month, you got to think of all those things. And
Like kind of
but
both.
yeah, that's
He installed a pocket in here too, but I can't even show you because it's so dark. Maybe you can turn the light on. Oh, that just made me really, no, you still can't see. Anyways, there's a pocket in here. Yes, Doug made this for me. I'll put the spotlight back on you now. Wherever you are, there you are. I'm not sure. I could probably put like some sort of poll on Facebook in the group and then maybe get a couple ideas of what people want to do for kits, and then we can just kind of go from there, start with the most popular and work our way down over time.
right. And there again, like our color, do we want to go chocolate, black, try to, you know, because you want to keep costs down, try to all agree, you know, do we want chocolate or black? Because then that'll keep costs down when we make these kits for us.
Right. I think we might be running into some issues with the group where people aren't actually seeing everything that's posted. So we need to try to work on that.
Right.
So people don't like miss out on opportunities like this. Because I noticed the more I would remind people about it, the more response we would get back. But I
Right.
also don't want to be annoying and constantly posting it all the time.
Exactly. Exactly. Or even do a smaller version as an example ahead of time, so that you have an idea what it would look like, you know, when class time is in 6 weeks per se. So instead of imagining, okay, what would it look like if we made a miniature one and they can see it ahead of time, you know? That's a thought.
Yeah, I agree.
So how we doing? Everybody ready or?
Yeah, I think, yeah, it looks like they're good to go ahead and continue on.
Okay, so here, this will be very fun because of the closeness. There's, everybody see the needle hole all right there? Okay, now you're gonna take your piece of wax thread, grab your fingernail and pinch it and draw it out so it lays nice and flat for us. Then at that point, what you're gonna do, of course, is carefully thread the needle like that. Okay, everybody to that point, it's really important to watch this. So once you get it threaded in your needle, you pull approximately the same distance of wax thread past the tip of the needle. How is everybody with that?
I think you're okay to keep,
Good?
maybe hold your hand
Okay.
behind it if you can. I don't know, because it's not really focused. Go up a little bit.
Huh?
There you go. Yeah, I think that might be better.
So you can see the distance of wax to the needle. So at this point, you'll take your thumb and finger in that same about an area right in there. You're going to flatten the wax thread right in that area, like a 1/2 inch or so. Just like you did when you had to thread the needle, you're going to flatten and get that wax to lay down nice and flat against it. So I'm going to pull the needle back. I'm going to grab my thumb and needle here, thumb and finger, get it to lay nice and flat. Everybody see that all right? It's hard to see, of course. Okay, so now what you'll do is you're going to take the tip of the needle, and sometimes when you shake or you might have eye issues, like I've had cataracts, just carefully lay it down. And here's the issue, to be able to see this. Dang it. You're going to take, I'll get it started and then pull it back up to the camera so everybody can see it. What you're going to do is take the point of the needle to the best of your ability. There we are right there. See what I just did? The flat area, how we there? Is that good?
Put your hand.
Sure.
I've learned so much from makeup tutorials. You can see the brush now. There you go.
How's that?
Much better.
All right, see. Everybody see that all right? How's that? Okay, so basically you've put the needle right through the center of the wax thread itself. And that was the purpose of pulling it with your nail and making it go flat, because that's to your advantage. So it goes through and the wax thread is compressed there. So now here's, it's gonna be hard. Dang it, I wish you was here in person, you folks. Okay, does everybody see that all right? So carefully slide your thread down. It's now making a bigger loop. So come down a little bit more. So you're about a 1/2 inch. So hang on where you shoved it through right here, not where you threaded it. Pull this down a little bit like this. And see, we're almost making a, I don't know, like a ribbon kind of there. And what you're gonna, let me grab a modeling tool so you get to see this. So crucial, so crucial. So what we're gonna do, boy, well, here we go. Let me try to get it. So what's gonna happen, let me get this out here. This here, where you put it through the wax thread here, and where it went through the needle here, is gonna join at the same time. Will you talk to me, Garth? Okay, so these two are gonna join at the same time when you pull it through. So I'm gonna slide it up a little more, pull this down a little more, and pull it up, push it up a little more, see what's happening. I'm pulling that down, and now I'm gonna shove it all the way up like this, and take this, and you just made a slide lock knot, as just did. And now you've created the wax thread that lays very, very flat. You don't have a big knot at the end. It lays nice and flat. Let me hold that up here. So, and that's the point. We want this to work with us, not against us. So it lays nice and flat. Okay. So is everybody at that point? Huh? Yeah. I know it's not easy, but once you get the hang of it, it's not too bad, but it takes a while. But believe me, it's worth learning. Oh, cool, cool. That's great, Joy. Yeah, you never know. Some people might know it, some people don't, and the goal is everybody, so it makes it easy for everybody. How's John doing? Good to go. All right, so let's get to the holster. We're going to start in this corner up here, which, you know, might be the opposite with the camera there, but we'll come through from the back side, of course, and up through. See, and that needle comes through there real easy. Okay, so what I want you to do, we're going to do 2 complete stitches, which is equivalent. You're going to go through 4 holes. You're going to come up through. And leave yourself probably 3 inches there in the back. Down through the second hole. All right, so there's 1. Now you're going to be in the 3rd hole on the upward swing. Okay, as you get to this end, now here we come into, you're going to stick the tail underneath there. So that secures it in place when you draw the loop down, just like that. So we went up through the 1st, down through the 2nd, down through the 3rd, up through the 4th. And we're going to go down through the 5th, like this. Okay, so there's 3 complete stitches. So now what you can do is you hang on this so the knot doesn't move. And now you're going to grab around your index finger and your 3 fingers and turn so you can hang on it. And if you watch here, watch these 3 stitches come down. Everybody with me? Does everybody see that now? Is that better? Ready? Is everybody caught? Everybody caught up there?
Yeah, I think everyone's okay.
Oh. Okay, so 3 stitches, 5 holes. So here we go again. We're going to take your needle. And there again, you'll go up through. Just pull it up where it's, snug. Then down through. Up through. Okay, so we'll just do 2 now so you can see. See the height of that stitch right there? And that's laying down. So now wrap this around and you're going to pull it. You just drew it down where it needs to be. So there again, just 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you got 2 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you got a stitch. 2 stitches, excuse me. Okay, there again, I just did 4 holes, 2 stitches. Grab the back, pull it down, and it's down in there good and tight. It ain't going anywhere. Okay, continue on, everybody. And just keep going right on around.
Okay, you have a question. Why a single stitch and not a double saddler stitch?
Okay, because what will happen is when you come around, you're going to turn around and come right back. In other words, get here and you're going to go in reverse and come right back around. And just for years and years, and we're talking experience here now. If someone saddle stitches this, I'd probably still be done 10 minutes before they were, simply because you're not trying to control 2 needles, 2 pieces of thread, and not dropping them and getting them tangled up. So yeah, we'll go around all the way around, and then you just put it in reverse and you'll come back around in between those and completely be double stitched. And once you get the hang of it, you can probably knock off 25 to 35% of your time. So in other words, instead of spending an hour to stitch it, you're probably done in 45 minutes. So, and that's what it's, because I did it for a living, and that's the only reason. And I taught myself that. I'm going, dang, I kept catching and hooking and, but I mean, you can see, when you're experienced, how fast, it goes. And that's the whole purpose of taking that extra little bit of time and open the holes up. And like I say, I was self-taught, so everybody learns differently. So I'm almost to the other corner. Not trying to. How's everybody doing? Everybody's going fine? Okay, I'm down one side across the bottom. I'm heading up the other side now. And I always give myself, I'm sure a lot of people, give yourself, whatever, a foot extra. That way you're not have to worry. Not gonna run out.
Run out, dang it.
Is that a joke? You just, have to splice in, buddy.
Sorry, I didn't know I was unmuted.
That's all right. How's Joy doing? Huh? Awesomeness. Awesomeness. Wax on my thumb and wax on the thread squeal. Kind of funny. Okay, I'm on my way back around the other direction. Catching up there, all right, John? Huh? Awesome.
3/4 through. I haven't done the second stitch though.
Okay, well, still that's good. So it sounds like you just gotta go across the top and turn around. You're not that far behind. But there again, 4 holes, remember, snug it down. Yeah, when you do something like this, it, makes you appreciate, the effort and time that goes in it. And people on the outside, they don't have a clue what's involved into it. But you got to have the love for it, and which I do, always have. How's Joy doing?
Joy said she's doing good. She has 2 sides left on the second time around.
Yep. I'm just a little bit ahead. I'm heading up the home stretch on the third one. So she's moving along pretty good. Starting to look a lot better with two rows in there now, Joy. So that means your glue wasn't quite dry enough.
What's the rule for calculating how much thread you're gonna need?
Just from experience, to be honest with you, something like this, I pulled 2 yards. In other words, I grabbed it, stretched arms out both direction, and usually that's 2 yards, I believe, 6 feet. So about 6 feet.
I think your nose to your fingertips, isn't that a yard?
Right. You're right. So if you do it twice, there's 6 feet.
Yeah. Joy said she's doing well, but some of her glue is pulling through. So she thinks that maybe her glue was too heavy.
Yeah, either too heavy or not allowed enough time to dry, more than likely, but could be both. Barge cement, rubber cement, contact cement. Because there's different brands of contact cement. That's the reason I said that.
You might be right, Micah. I'm pretty sure. I know you're not Micah, but I don't know your actual name, so I'm sorry. Micah's wife, I think. I'm pretty short, so I don't actually know if the nose to fingertips is a yard for me either.
Yeah.
Dara. Okay, got it.
All right. I'm ready for the last step.
Okay, I'm starting back on the second round.
Okay.
Any tips for getting it through the hole that already has thread in it? I'm not having any luck.
It sounds like you might not have opened up the hole quite enough with your modeling tool then.
I'm wondering if my chisel wasn't big enough. I had a 3mm diamond chisel.
Honestly, I wouldn't know that. Garth could probably put that on Google and find out. Because these are,
What is yours?
I'm doing that right now.
What is yours in centimeters? I mean inches. Does it have the 332 or something?
this is these are 1/8 inch, but I don't know what the circumference of the hole is. Say the distance, 1/8 of an inch.
Oh, it's the distance. That's what's in between, huh?
Yeah,
Oh, so probably the same.
Yeah, it's pretty close because it says 1/8 of an inch is 3.175 millimeter. So that's gotta be pretty
Well,
close.
that's just the difference. I guess the diamond is pretty much the same, you think? Doug?
Here, hold on, I'll make yours bigger so he can look at it. One sec. Here, Dad, look at his. It's on the screen now.
let me go over here. You're cool. Modeling tool, probably just, once you shove it in there, turn it with, whoops, yeah. Let me go back.
Yeah, come back to the bench and talk because you're really quiet. We can't hear you.
Yeah, when you put it up into the hole, let me see, can you see that all right? Okay, when you shove it through, I'm gonna go ahead and do it anyways. I'm gonna put it through, okay? See there? Now I'm gonna take my wrist and spin it and pull it out. See the hole?
Dara has a tip for you too as well, John, in the comment section. I don't know if you want to check that out too.
Because that kind of cleans the hole up quick.
You don't have to wait for me, though. You can go on to the next step. I mean, I know the idea here.
I wish there was like a thumbs up feature or a green feature like on Adobe Classroom. I think it is that you can like let people know you're ready to go. Oh, there is a thumbs up. That's so cool. I don't have the option as the moderator. That's pretty cool.
But so what you want to do, well, at least let's get the glue cleaned off. That I had a little bit. Just take your fingernail next to your thumb and clean that right off there. I mean, it rolls right off usually, most of the time. And we're familiar with this tool that we used earlier. From the pressure pulling down on the leather, it raises a tiny bit. So you'll take this again and just kind of put pressure and compress that back down where it should be. Yep, it's all about learning. You don't make mistakes, you never learn too.
Dad, so I know there's quite a bit left. I don't know if we want to give the option of maybe, I know Garth will be up that way again tomorrow afternoon, evening time, of maybe picking up tomorrow and continuing on, or we can continue on now or continue on next Saturday. Or
That's
yeah.
them.
I don't know if we want to take like, it's kind of going, I know a little bit longer than we anticipated. Because I did give
It's
them
up to
a time frame. So I guess if everybody would like to weigh in and let us know your thoughts, we're good either way. We just don't want you guys, because it is like 8:45 for some of you.
Okay,
Tomorrow or next week.
about,
Dara said I need to run, like I said earlier. I need to follow along on YouTube, so
it's not gonna be on YouTube.
yeah, we'll figure that out.
All right, but something that would be simple to do in the meantime, you got pencil and paper. For example, I'm gonna hopefully, so you understand, we got this shut here where the holster is. Okay, so can you see this point here? Okay, so what you want to do is take your chisel, go all the way up here to this point, open the hole from the back side. So you've cleaned it out, just like we did here, because this is a step that you could kind of do for next week or tomorrow. Is what you'll do is you'll start hand stitching just the single layer, just the front of it, just the front of it. So you'll stitch all the way up and you'll come all the way back. That way you have double stitched. And then at that point, you'll do the same thing on the bottom, because you do not want to close that shut, because depending on your handgun, your weapon, you're going to want this open so it can flex and form and shape to whatever handgun you're going to put into that. So, but that's something I think you folks could take your diamond hole chisel, come on up into here. Let me hold this for you. Start here, come on up into here. Clean the holes out from the back side. Take your wax thread and come this direction first, and then head on back. That way, all of this is double stitch for you, okay? Because that has to be open. It's simply for decorative reasons. And then you do the same thing. You do the same thing down here, except you would start, you know, here. That one you'd have, excuse me, that you'd have to start here, go down, turn around and come back, and then you would be ready to rock and roll and close it shut right in here. So if you understood that all right, you could actually even do that part before we go to close it shut. But I did this up here purposely because I want you to see the beautiful appearance of the stitching versus just putting stitching here and this looks plain, you know? So it's about appearance, it's about the look. And that's the reason I wanted to teach you folks the right way, you know? So the thing is to start here, chisel with your diamond hole chisel from here to here, stitch from here up to here, and then back down, and you have a double stitching up in this groove line where it needs to be. And then this here, you would start here, go down, around, turn around and come back. And now the whole bottom is double stitched and it's open for your weapon to go in and form and shape. And that's where you would stop. And then we would stitch this shut here, which you'll have to line up and open the holes front to back. But that part, we should work together on that. But how does everybody like that tooling with that pebbling underneath the cam tool? You know, I think that really looks nice, you know? So any thoughts on what's everybody's schedule for like tomorrow or next Saturday, or what do you think?
Okay, so I think that we might be okay to resume tomorrow. Some people can't make it, but some people can. Um, and obviously we'll record it so we can just post it to YouTube so they have access to it. John did, okay, so Joy actually asked, is there any stitching on the backside at the top? And then there's one more question.
No, I was gonna do that because it would have been so much more time into it. And plus, you end up seeing the back of the stitching up here, where underneath here, they don't see it. On the back side, they don't see it. It's more work and it's really not necessary because there's no lining. We don't have any lining here to stitch and hold it shut. And that's the other reason it's not really necessary. But, if you wanted to, hey, that's not a problem either, But what do you think, Joy, about, stitching the way I did? Do you think that's about the same, a little bit faster, or what do you think about that versus 2 needles? I'm curious.
Okay, while she responds, I'm gonna read you the next question.
right.
John said to make double stitch, do you want to make sure that you have an odd number of holes?
No,
And then Joy said,
that can be even.
oh, sorry, even number, John, correct? And then
Yeah.
Joy said that she's done both ways, but she usually does it this way.
Uh-huh. That's cool. That's cool. And plus, I mean, that edge coating, that holster still looks really nice on the inside. When you put that Angelus edge coating to the inside, it's very beautiful. And plus it accents your antiquing, it's down into your tooling. It really kind of matches with the color of your edge coat.
Do you put carnauba on the inside?
No, it's only for top ring, not the flesh set. See, let me get one of these handguns. Anyways, I just, kind of get a look here. I'm not sure if this will need a welt put in, but this is the Springfield Armor XD 40 caliber 4.0, excuse me. So that's going to fit. See, the sight will be right here for us and right about the 1/2 inch mark. Doesn't that look sweet? What's everybody think of that? I get excited. Ain't that nice looking?
Yes, it is.
And then plus, there again, that's not going to dig in you. I don't know. Let's just say this, my son and me, we have a little extra above the belt line. So that's really nice to have that there. But yeah, close it right down shut. And you can see it already like starts forming when you do that. But yeah, these holsters, they're going to look sweet when we're done. They really will. It's kind of exciting.
Okay, so I think tomorrow we will go ahead and resume around 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I know I have Brian's on here, if that's okay with you.
Yes,
Mr.
that's
Hoffman, is that okay with you? Because I know Joy said she doesn't think she can make it, but she would be okay if we recorded it. Some people might be snoozing. It's getting kind of late. But I guess before we cut this one off, if there's any last questions before that, can't wait until tomorrow.
Any tips on tying in? I'm about halfway through my second stitch, but I'm gonna run out of thread. Any tips for tying that in? Just start the same way, or?
Yeah, go step back to like your 2 stitches where you left off. And when you splice your piece in, go back into 2 full stitches, come up through there and go down. And as you come up through the 3rd hole, you're going to create that loop again. tuck the tail underneath that loop and draw it down, and you're ready to rock and roll and just continue on.
Oh, okay. So you kind of loosen them up a little bit? Is that what you're saying?
No, with that fine needle like that, you should be able to wiggle that right under that piece of wax thread. Because with that wax on there, John, I mean, it lets that needle slide right under there nice. And I actually didn't show you the tie off yet because that's kind of neat too. And so I'm leaving that step too for tomorrow.
Let's see what yours looks like. I'm not sure mine.
On the underside, this is the tip.
Other side. Let me see what your stitch looks like. Other side. Can you hold it up close?
Is that good, or tip it more? Or?
What do you think? Is this looking right? Is this the way it's supposed to look? Let's see, like, right, let's see.
I gotta switch to
Yeah,
the.
go ahead and just hold it up. I'm gonna replace you as the spotlight so he can see it.
Let's see, I did over here. Well, let's see, I guess I did over here, double stitch.
That looks nice.
He said that looks nice. I don't know if you can hear him. I think he
All right, cool.
forgets his microphone.
I had to make the holes bigger so I could get the thing through, so. Sweet, looking sweet. Gotta get the gun out and try it out.
Can't wait to try it out, huh?
Hopefully it'll fit. I got an old 40,
Well-
old 45, I
What?
think,
John.
or 20.
You have to come back over by the bench because the speaker's on by the bench. So it's hard to hear you when you're over at the table.
Wow, that is-
Can you mute me at the bench?
I can. Do you want me to move it over right now?
that's good.
Okay, go ahead. I'll switch it so it's at the table and he can talk.
That's better.
There,
Looks good. Ooh.
Joy said, so it's only about 4 inches that is double layered leather. I don't know if you heard me.
Yeah, that would be about right. Right, but I want to show them what's going to get me.
That's fun. Fun.
Okay. Guys. Okay, that was the Springfield XD that I was showing you. Guys, give me a Glock. So, what kind of gun, John, do you have?
45 ACP.
Okay. Okay, so this scrap piece of leather.
Yeah. Yeah.
You see that all right?
Yeah. I got one too.
He has one too. He said he has one too.
Great,
Right.
great. Okay. So what's going to happen, because the thickness, like on a Glock or your compact 40 caliber Springfield, okay, you have that big thick trigger guard that comes out to a point. See that comes out there on you?
Yeah, I see it.
So what we'll do is you're going to need this piece right here, the welt. And what you'll do, here's the fun part, is you're going to lay it on there. See?
You gotta bring it closer to you. There you go.
All right, here's the back side. And there's the, let me hang on here, buddy. And there's the front side. Okay? You with me so far?
Gotcha.
Okay. So now what you do is you're going to lay that, like she was saying, it's about 4 inches. And what you'll do is take your pencil or ink pen, either way. Okay. So you can see what I did there.
Got it.
Okay.
Got it.
So you'll take your scissors or sharp knife and cut the line off.
Okay.
Okay. And then when I was in the beginning, we talked about this area here only this area here, right, only from here down to here is a 1/2 inch. Okay, so that's where this will go, but you'll take wing dividers and you'll follow those along. That's why I left you that much. This is like 7/8 of an inch wide. So you'll once you trim, let's see here. I want to see.
I can see you're perfect. Just go ahead, keep
Okay.
talking.
So once you trim that off, John, take your wing divider, set it for a 1/2 inch, and follow the same curvature to the other side. Then cut the inner side out of there, and then that fits exactly in position in your holster to give it that extra thickness.
Okay.
And then that way, when you shut it, see what you just did there?
You make it thicker.
Yeah, you made the body expand. So when you get into like an XT40 or a Black where it's thicker frame, it's gonna still go in there really nice for you.
Okay.
So it sounds like that's what you might have to do to yours, but that's how you do that. And really, that's actually something you can do in the meantime, because that's gonna need to be done with yours. So, is there any other questions or?
If there's no other questions, we'll go ahead and wrap it up tonight. And
Thanks, Doug. Thanks, Doug.
I'll email everybody who's in the class the link for tomorrow's class if that works for y'all.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right. Everybody happy with what we got done tonight?
Yep.
That's great, Doug. I really appreciate it. Look
Not
forward
a
to
problem. Not a problem.
your classes, man.